All right, ladies. Oh my goodness. Okay, there we go. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the S&P Sports Show on this May 23rd, 2023. And boy, I am excited. I'm your host, Sean Stewart, alongside my co-host, Mr. Anthony Paulus. And by the way, the S&P Sports Show is being brought to you by No House Advantage. Sign up right now and get an instant match deposit up to $100 by using promo code S4A. And you can go on our website at sportsforamerica.com to click that link and then put in that promo code, and then there you have it. So, like I said, if you live in Michigan, Wisconsin, Ohio, you're eligible to play. For the others, check to see like the state that you live in, see that you're eligible. So, yeah, crazy NBA playoffs, especially from both conferences. You know what I mean? I'm not surprised that Denver won, but it's how and nobody would never thought like it will be a sweep. To be exact, I would never thought that the Nuggets would beat the Lakers in 4.
I mean, hey, you want to know something? I mean, the way that the Lakers just breezed through the first 2 rounds almost. I mean, I'm kind of a conspiracy theorist, but you know what? Hey, you know what? It felt like the league was setting it up for a Celtics, Lakers, who's going to win the 17th championship and take the lead. You know, try to get in one last hurrah for LeBron here and have him be the greatest 38-year-old player ever. You know, or and have him run through and big market team. You know. One of those kind of things, or I mean, Denver ain't exactly a big market. Miami's not exactly the largest markets for TV, but Denver's never been to a finals, and if the Heat handle business here, it's a matchup of the best team in the West with probably the best player, I guess we can say, in the game now, right now in the Joker. I mean, maybe Giannis too, but the Bucks flatlined, which I enjoyed probably a little more considering the fact that I live in the Milwaukee area and got to deal with these Bucks fans and Packer fans and,
vice versa,
those kind of people. So seeing the Lakers flatline, what did it show? Well, D'Angelo Russell was a liability in this series. Okay? And maybe Austin Reeves isn't all that he is. And somebody's going to overpay him this offseason, and he's going to be gone, and he probably won't ever be heard from again after. Okay? He's not Duncan Robinson. Okay? And Duncan Robinson, let me say this, Duncan Robinson wasn't even in the damn rotation most of the year for the Heat. Become the playoffs, that man tends to show up and, becomes that long-range sniper. Now, I'm going to say this. I think Miami matches up better with Denver than they do with the Lakers. I honestly will say that. For some reason, I just think they do. But, I mean, at this point, the Nuggets are the favorites, but I'm just saying I think the Heat match up better with the Nuggets than the Lakers. Just my honest thinking, because if they couldn't beat them 3 years ago in the bubble, what's going to change now?
Right. Because the Lakers couldn't be consistent, and I found out that the Nuggets are the last ABA team to go into the NBA Finals, just in case people didn't know that.
There was some kind of predictor that said that either the Nuggets or the Sixers were going to make the finals. And I guess this predictor is right like every year or has been for a while. Well, I predicted Denver into the finals, and sure enough, I predicted a Denver Philly, but hey, I guess the question to ask is, how would have Philadelphia matched up against Miami? Do you think they would have matched up better than Boston? Probably. I think so. You want to know something? Let me say this about Philadelphia. You know what they're regretting the most? The Sixers. Well, besides that, besides that and Ben Simmons, what are they regretting the most? Maybe even more so right now.
Like getting James Harden?
Nope, not that either.
Not that.
That Jimmy Butler was a Sixer and they chose Tobias Harris over him.
Oh.
You remember that? Back in the day, Jimmy Butler was on the Sixers.
I forgot about that.
Think about that. Jimmy Buckets with Embiid now. My goodness. Could you imagine that?
They would have been in the finals.
And they probably would have won the damn ship. But, oh well. Can't change the past. Could only change the future.
Oh, yeah, he only lasted for like one season. Now I'm looking at his stat.
Well, things happen.
Right.
Anyways, the Heat are on the verge of making their second finals in 3 years. And, I think this kind of cements Jimmy Butler in that, if it happens, as like one of the most clutch playoff performers in the last 2 decades. I think that's a fair assessment. That he shows up in the playoffs.
That is correct.
And he wills himself all he can in the playoffs.
Man, Boston just flat out garbage now.
Man, I don't think they can win 4 straight.
That's impossible. I got remember a 25% chance of winning tonight 35% winning tonight anyway.
Teams are 0-150 in the NBA.
Yeah,
when they're down 3-0. And there's, it's not like in baseball where a team's been down 3-0 and came back like the Red Sox did, right?
04.
0-2 in a 5-game series, okay. That's been done before. And an 8 seed beating a 1 seed's happened before, just recently. And, and it even happened back in the era of the 5-game playoffs when the Nuggets, ironically, with Dikembe Mutombo, beat the 1 seed Supersonics, which was the first 8-1 ever. I remember watching it on NBC with John Tesh, one of our favorites, with Round Ball Rock, and seeing Dikembe on the hardwood in Seattle crying in that like blue Nuggets jersey that they wore during the Dikembe era. So, can the Celtics come back? No, I guess we got to ask ourselves, is this the beginning of the end for Boston? Will they have to break up this tandem to achieve something else? I don't know. Maybe work out a trade with Portland, let's say, and they can get Dame, and maybe, because one of these younger guys, Portland gets the younger guy, Boston gets the older veteran clutch player and Dame, and You know, maybe that has to happen. I don't know. I don't know if Portland, let me say this, Portland's interested in trading the third pick for a veteran like Karl Anthony Towns, but I'll be honest, I don't know if they can put the pieces around out there. They may be better off at this point just trading him to a team like Boston or Milwaukee
or something.
And just calling a full build and getting a couple young studs back and, take a year or two and then develop and, I don't know.
Right. Time will tell.
It is tough to tell. It's a superstar-driven league, but Dame is 32 years old.
Right, and he's always played in Portland all his life.
At some point, Father Time catches up with everybody.
Right.
And the Blazers got to say, hey, maybe we need to trade him because his value is probably at its high.
Oh, yeah.
And he's 32. You wait too long, then you don't get much. You got to think at some point, hey, we're going to suck for a bit, and we can't get past where we're going to get past. In this draft, is the third pick worth Karl Anthony Towns? No, Karl Anthony Towns is probably worth more than the third pick. Is he worth Brandon Miller, let's say?
Maybe not.
No, if I was the Timberwolves, you traded all of that capital for Rudy Gobert. Okay? Let me just say this. Okay? I hate to say this, but Karl Anthony Towns is worth more than Rudy Gobert. And dude, the Timberwolves gave up 3 firsts for him. Okay? 3 plus players. What's Portland going to give up to get Karl Anthony Towns? Well, the third pick, probably another first at least. I don't know how many players they're going to have to get. Plus, they want to re-sign Jeremy Grant. So let's say you get Karl Anthony Towns, and then you got Jeremy Grant, and you got Lillard. Well, then you're still going to need a point guard, right?
Right.
And then you're still going to need a 4 probably if Jeremy Grant plays the 3. 4s are kind of easier to get, I would say. But, you're going to need an effective point guard. That could probably be done via a trade.
Right.
What kind of point guard are you going to get? Well, that's tough to say. But, a Brogdon from Boston could be a possibility. Who knows? It's tough to say. It really is. But Portland's got to think, like, if we can't accomplish getting the pieces we want to get around Dame, and it's not going to happen, and we might mortgage our future and not get anything, they may have to consider trading him and get a boatload back. And then
a couple of picks.
Get a whole bunch of picks and some veterans. And, hopefully one of them turn out, like in the Mikal Bridges trade for Durant. The Nets got a stud in Bridges. And, the question is, what are they going to be able to do with the other pieces besides Bridges that the Nets got back? I think that's the biggest key. So what are you going to get back out of that? You're Boston. Boston and Portland seem like logical trade partners. Dame Lillard goes to Boston. Boston sends a bunch of first-round picks and a lot of veteran talent. Only problem is they don't have like a young comparable star player to send back that's maybe not on the Dame Lillard, but could develop to be. So you might need a third team to help facilitate that trade. Like not necessarily like a star team, but like a team that, something like Oklahoma City or something. Like they got like Gregorius Alexander. I mean, dude averaged a lot of points. You could send him to Portland, and Boston could send a whole ton of picks to Oklahoma City and get him to Portland and do a three-way trade. I mean, what does Oklahoma City have, like 25 first-round picks? You might as well just give them 30 at this point.
You can give away
some of those. I guess here, let me answer this question. I mean, when the hell is Oklahoma City going to actually try to do something? I mean, yeah, I know they finished like 10th this year, but damn. 33 wins? Yeah, I know you got Chet Holmgren coming. But at some point, you got all of them picked. You tell me you can't trade all them picks and that and do something and go for, at some point you got all that future promise. I mean, but how many of those are like first round protected or protected to a point where you can't get the first pick, or are they top 5 protected? What's the deal? I mean,
picks away.
I mean, put it like this. I think Utah's got like 12 first-round picks. San Antonio has like 12 first-round picks between now and 2028. I think Oklahoma City has I think it's like 40 picks in total. Okay?
Wow.
I mean, if you looked it up on Google, I think between the first and the seconds they have between like now and 2028, I think it's like 40. I'm not joking. They own like 19 firsts and it's some crazy number, but they own so many picks between now and the 27, 28 draft. I mean, if you Googled it, it's just nuts.
I'll probably like, wow, how do they get all those picks in terms
of through a lot of trades? I mean, they got so many picks, it's nuts. And they're going to probably acquire more or trade for some, or, at some point you got to start cashing in. I guess the question is when and what for? I mean, if you Googled it quick, I'd be willing to bet 34 to 38 picks that Oklahoma City has like in the next like 5 years. I mean, I think in 1 year's draft, they have like 7 firsts.
Oklahoma City future draft picks. Let me look that up. Full list of OKC done in future NBA draft picks. All right. I'm looking at it right now. So 2025, the Thunder are on the Rockets' top 4 projected picks. Swap right with the Clippers' first round pick, the Heat lottery projected first round pick, a top 8 projected from the 76ers. 2026, they get the Rockets.
They own like 4. Yeah.
Yeah. In 27, the Thunder are owned by the Nuggets' top 5 projected first round pick. 28, Thunder only own their first round pick. In 29, the Thunder own a Nuggets top 5 pick and their own first round pick.
I think it's got to be more than that. I'm not joking.
I got it. I got it. All right, I got it for so this year the Thunder got 3, 24 is 4, 25 is 4, 26 is 6, 27 is 3, 28 is 1, and then 29 is 2.
For first round picks.
For future first round NBA draft picks.
How many do they got this draft? 3?
So this year is 3.
Okay, what about next year?
4.
Then the following year.
24 and 25 is 4, and then 26 is 6.
Jesus. So 4. So in the next 3 drafts, they got 14 first round picks.
If you add them in total. So 3, 7, 11. So this year is 3, 4 and 5 is 4, 26 is 6, 27 is 3,
Jeez.
and then 28 is 1, and then 29 is 2, because we're talking about first round picks.
I mean, at some point, you can only have 12 players on the roster.
So you're going to have to give away those draft picks.
I mean, I suppose you can draft some foreign players and draft and stash. You know? I suppose you could draft and stash a couple guys and put them in Europe and hope that they're going to, do their thing. And then when they're seasoned, you bring them over and then they're worth a hell of a lot more than what their draft status was, but I mean, in 3 years, they got 6 firsts. I mean, that's ridiculous. 6 firsts.
Right.
I mean, Sean, I mean, look, think about this. They're drafted in the first round every year. I mean, this year it's kind of low for them because all the picks they own plus their own first, so they're drafting like 10, and then the other 2.
I got it right now. So for this year, it'll be 12, 35, and 37.
Well, what about the picks that they owned?
For what year?
They don't own anybody's first round pick this year other than their own?
So for this year, no, but next year, yes, and in the future.
Yeah, I mean, next year is going to be the beginning, 3, 4, 6. I mean, how many more can you rack up, I guess, is the question.
I don't know what they're thinking about after this.
I mean, it's insane. I mean, you got Chet Holmgren coming in. You had your best season in a while. I mean, I don't know what players they have on their team that they could be traded, but knowing them, they're going to trade some players to rack up probably some more firsts.
Right.
I mean, it's going to be crazy.
They act like they're the Boston Celtics when it comes to picks with the first rounds.
I mean, hey, you know what's crazy is that the Bucks gave up 5 second-round picks for Jay Crowder.
Oh my goodness!
He played a whopping 38 seconds in the playoffs.
Let's see how that's working out.
They gave up 5 for 38 seconds. That's a hell of a deal for the Sixers.
Oh, yeah.
5 second, or was it the Nets? I'm sorry, the Nets. They got 5 second-round picks.
That was the Nets.
That's a win for the Nets. I mean, now, I mean, Hey, the Nets have pulled off 2 draft coups. They got rid of. Well, they got stuck with Ben Simmons, but they got 5 seconds. I mean, will Ben Simmons get traded before the season starts?
That's a very interesting question right there. Question is where he's going to land at, or what team wants him.
Atlanta. It just seems like the most logical spot.
Right.
I mean, if I was to guess, Atlanta. You know, no.
Okay.
Detroit.
Ben Simmons in a Pistons uniform. Ugh.
Playing the small forward. I don't know. I think he's got to go to a veteran team.
That's what I'm thinking of, because he got to work on his shot for real.
The reason why I say that is he's got to be held accountable. And who's a veteran team that can provide that? Without giving up too much, so the Nets can shed salary.
That's a very great question right there.
Boston.
That's one.
Miami.
Oh, definitely Miami. They'll put him in check.
Milwaukee.
Especially when you have Pat Riley.
Milwaukee. I don't know if that would work out, though, because, man, it's nothing else to 2 Bud Ball when you're a Buck.
Right.
Golden State.
How about, I was going to say Sacramento, but they're more of a younger team.
I mean, there's not a lot of options. And you got to convince the other team Ben is going to be back. And no offense, he's got like another 2 years on that contract.
Uh-oh.
I believe.
I'll check that for you right now.
I think his contract's through 25, 26, but I could be wrong.
I can check that right now. Ben Simmons contract.
I mean, he's getting paid fat for like another 2 years at least. Maybe 3.
Okay. His contract expires and he'll be a free agent in 2025.
Okay, so you got to deal with it for 23, 24. I mean, if you were going to trade for him, it probably wouldn't be the worst depending upon what it was, because the way I look at it is, you see, he's going to probably lame duck 23, 24. My back's hurt. My feelings are hurt. But come 24, 25, he's going to have the ball. He's going to have the ball to get a new contract. So my prediction is he doesn't do trash next year. He's going to be trash next year. And then when 24, 25 comes, that last year, he's on contract, all of a sudden he's going to have an awakening. Oh, my God. And some team's going to fall for the okie doke and give him some 5-year contract, and then Ben's going to go back to being Charmin for another 4 years.
Which you don't want. That'd be a bad situation.
He's my player I do not want on the team list, but somebody's going to see the defensive capabilities, and personally, I think his defense has regressed a little. And obviously the offense is trash. Oh, I'm going through rehab this year. Dude, you're going through rehab every year. I've seen the videos you post in the off season, and then you don't do nothing in the regular season or the playoffs.
That to
So,
me sounds fishy right there. That to me sounds fishy.
I mean, him and Zion Williamson are like almost in the same boat, except Zion can't seem to step away from the buffet.
And plus, he
And the
can't stay
po-
healthy, stay in life.
and the po' boys.
Right? Because that's new.
And Ben is just mentally Charmin soft. So at this point, I mean, what are you going to entice a team to take for Ben Simmons? Because the Nets want to clear cap
and start all over.
and get something, where a player they can plug in and with that amount. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
it's very tough to say.
At this point, I mean, 3 scrubs for Ben Simmons. I mean, I don't know.
I would not do that.
I mean, I honestly think he's going to ball out in 24, 25 and have that awakening so he can get another contract.
Uh-oh.
Buyer beware. Whoever has him in 24, 25, dude's going to ball out. Okay? But once you get to 25, 26 and beyond, good luck. Good luck. Especially if a Kardashian gets to him. It'll be even worse.
Hey, look at Tristan Thompson. He dated Kardashian. See what happens to him. Well, he's always been a bum, but.
Well, Tristan's game regressed once the Kardashians got in, and then he ended up knocking up some other girl too.
Same thing with Lamar Odom. I forgot about Lamar Odom. Can't forget about that one.
Game goes to trash. Chris Humphrey's game went to trash.
Yeah, he did date it. He married Kim. That was his.
Like I said, you date a Kardashian, your game goes to trash.
And your life will never be the same after that.
Just turns to trash.
Exactly.
So let's talk a little NHL here. First off, the league just needs to admit that Arizona is a loss and move them out of Arizona.
I heard about that in a couple of days about some relocation, like Kansas City.
Kansas City, Quebec. You know, hockey is not going to work in Arizona. There's too much going on. Baseball, spring training, old people with golf. Arizona's seasonal. It's just like Florida. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. Except Arizona's maybe even more transplant than Florida to some degree. Because Arizona has people with a lot more money.
Right. Because I heard like
people go to Arizona, they go in the winter for golf, and then that's it, in spring training, and come back. Because it's too damn hot.
Right. That's why Diamondbacks got a lot of night games.
So that's why with hockey, it's not going to work. Move the team to Quebec, move it to Kansas City, move it to Houston, someplace it's going to be appreciated. You can't move it to Atlanta because Atlanta's already had 2 times and it's failed both.
How about Salt Lake City? You think they would support it?
Not big enough of a market.
Okay.
I think it's going to go to like Houston, Kansas City. If they really wanted the guarantee filling the seats, they'd send it to Quebec, but
Right. They don't have another stadium for it. I forgot about
well, they
Quebec
do.
also.
They have a brand new arena in Quebec. It's only a couple of years old. They just sold out 18,000 seats
Damn.
for like the junior hockey team that won like the championship.
Damn.
Yeah, the Quebec Remparts.
Okay. Because I forgot that Nordiques used to play in Quebec before they moved.
So, I mean, Canada could definitely fill another team, but Commissioner Bettman doesn't want to put one there, it seems.
Wow.
Now, you know, America, it's got, you know, what city? Kansas City. Probably got to be the most ideal. Houston. Probably the big two. I've heard Sacramento, but no, I just don't see it.
I mean, they got other professional teams, but
I mean, you got 3 teams already in California.
right.
I don't think Portland can hold it down. I mean, Kansas City or Houston just seem like the most logical fits, you know, at this point of the game. I mean, Atlanta's failed twice. So they don't deserve another team.
Right. Oh, I forgot. There used to be the Atlanta Flames and then the Atlanta Thrashers.
So, I mean, neither team deserves it. So, at this point, I think you got to give Quebec, Houston, and Kansas City one of those 3 and roll with it.
Right.
It's not going to work in Arizona.
Right. I'm like, do people even in Arizona even watch hockey like that?
I would probably say no unless you're a transplant.
Right. I know California, they love hockey, but they like street hockey more.
You know, well, you know, Arizona State has a Division I hockey team now. And they play like at a 5,600 seat arena, which is where the Coyotes are playing.
Interesting.
So, is it going to work? I just don't know. I just don't see hockey in Arizona succeeding. Just take your loss, find a big market that's going to work, and roll with it. You took the Thrashers and you moved them to Winnipeg, and boom.
Right.
Great job. You know, well, Quebec could probably use a team. I'm not going to lie. I'd love to see the Coyotes move back to Quebec
and
become the Nordiques again, or whatever you want to call them. Yes, exactly.
Right. I still remember that team to this day.
And the thing is this. Had the Nordiques not left for Colorado, I mean, Quebec could have
won a couple of Stanley Cups.
Oh, a couple of them. Because the season after they left, or 2 seasons, they won. And they had all the pieces because Quebec sucked for so long. And then all those pieces, when they came up, just turned out to be studs. Stud after stud after stud after stud after stud. And they ended up winning, you know, the Stanley Cups and being near the top. They ended up winning it all because of all that talent in their system came up. But the city of Quebec wasn't able to reap the benefits.
Yikes.
So, I mean, it was nuts.
Damn. That's just sad. Just sad. Now, is there anything happening in soccer, if I may ask?
Well, right now, Manchester City has won the English Premier League, and they have a chance to win the treble because they're also in the Champions League final against Inter Milan, and they can win the FA Cup in a couple weeks against Manchester United, so they can win the big three prizes that they could win. Is they've already won the EPL. In a couple weeks, they're going to play Manchester United. They beat them, then they've won the FA Cup, and then they should be heavily favored against Manchester United. And then a week later, on June 10th, they play Inter Milan, where they are heavily favored to win. I mean, they can win the treble very easily. But the thing is this: Arsenal choked away this title more or less, and no team has ever not won the Premier League with as many points as Arsenal had through the first 16 games. No team has ever not won the Premier League up until now.
Wow.
Because they've had just a crappy 2 months, and they let Manchester City back in, who's been on fire, by the way, the last couple months. They've been on absolute fire. So, I mean, it's well deserved by Manchester City. But they could finally win the treble this year. It's just nuts. And then the other thing is Newcastle is going to the Champions League next year. But you got to remember, Newcastle United, they were on the verge of being relegated.
Why?
And they were bought, and they have more money than the other 19 teams in the Premier League combined.
Wow. That's amazing.
So they're going to be able to go on a massive spending spree. When I mean massive, I mean massive.
Like, we're going to spend like right now so we can make sure we can win championships, in other words.
I mean, it's crazy to think that when your team and the people behind it, they own more money and assets than all the other teams in the league combined. I mean, you could see them spend $300 million this summer. And to think that last season, like, they were on the relegation of, they're on the bounds of relegation. And, you know, just insane to think from where they were to what they are now in a year is just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And I think that them and Manchester City are going to be the big two teams because of this and their financial backings for years to come. I mean, it's just mind-blowing. I mean, then this weekend we're going to see who wins the German Bundesliga, Dortmund or Bayern Munich. If Dortmund wins this weekend, they'll have won for the first time in 11 years the Bundesliga. If they choke and Bayern Munich wins, who also have like a 16 goal differential over Dortmund, then Bayern Munich just wins another title. All Dortmund has to do is just get a win this weekend.
That's all.
That's it. But if they get a draw and Bayern Munich wins this weekend, then Bayern Munich will win the championship based on goal differential.
Okay.
Unless somebody makes 17 goals up in one weekend. Which I don't see happening.
Right. I will watch that since I got a nice weekend on Saturday and Sunday.
I mean, all the soccer is going to be going down on Saturday. The German league is where it's going to be at this weekend. There's really nothing to play for in England other than if Manchester United gets a draw this weekend against Chelsea, they will essentially clinch the 4th spot in the Champions League. And Liverpool will be the 15th. That leaves 6th and 7th place for the Europa Conference. And Spurs right now is sitting one spot out of even that. And I think that's a team that's in turmoil. And I don't know how they're going to combat that next season.
All right. That's the first time you ever pronounced that German league because I couldn't even pronounce it.
The Bundesliga?
Yes. I had a hard time even pronouncing it until you said it correctly.
Boone, like Boone, like
Okay.
Daniel Boone, Boone, Liga.
Okay. Bundesliga.
Bundesliga.
Gotcha.
The Bundesliga. Just like in Italian, it's Serie A. You don't say A, you say A.
Yeah, right, because it's
Serie
silent.
A.
Because the A is silent.
Yep. Serie A. And then you got La Liga.
Oh, everybody knows that one. I know that one.
So there's some pronunciations for you. And then also this weekend, we have more USFL football.
Right. And you know what? I actually found out, I was just looking it up. Next week is the Scripps National Spelling Bee. That's next week.
It is one of my favorite times of the year. Yes,
And
May
now,
30th and through June 1st, it's on Ion Television. It used to be on ESPN.
and I can finally watch it on my YouTube TV. I can finally watch it.
So it's something that I watch every year.
Right.
Because it's kind of really, besides cricket, the only other championship that Indian people can claim the fame in
Right.
type of athletics, maybe other than women's field hockey. Seems like India is very dominant in women's field hockey. So,
especially in the spelling bee.
But man, the spelling bee, man, they've got they talk about the dynasty.
Right. They should make a documentary about that.
I mean, when's the last time like a non-Indian kid won the Natty?
Not too long ago. I think it was like 2 years ago.
Well, a couple years ago, like 8 kids won it all in 1 year. Because remember, they went through the whole dictionary or whatever, and they had 8 winners.
Wow. I gotta check that out.
It was the longest bee in history. Went 25 rounds.
Oh my goodness, that's the longest. That's the largest round I ever heard for a spelling bee.
And they still had 8 finals, and that was in the finals round.
Oh, that's much impressive then.
So they had 8 people declared as spelling bee champions.
And that's only happened once, correct?
Yeah, for something like that, yeah. But last year, I think it went like 13 or 14 rounds in the finals. So, yes, next week next week, I'll be, on my Aquila and the Bee kind of watch, and
And
checking out
finally,
the scripts, checking out the scripts spelling bee, and what I'll be doing on June 1st, watching the
right,
finals.
exactly. And I can finally watch it now that I have YouTube TV because Ion is on YouTube TV, so I'll be able to watch that. Thank goodness.
So there you go. Chalk
Exactly.
one up for YouTube TV.
Right. And record.
I mean, let me ask you, Sean, do you like it?
I like it. It's different. You know what I mean? It's no different than a cornhole or like what's another one? Billiards, which I don't even hardly ever see that on TV.
I mean, do you get a good array of channels? Besides that, do you get ESPN?
Well, I have ESPN, ESPN2, ESPNU, the ACC, SEC network. So I got a couple of ESPN
Do
sports.
you get the Big Ten network?
Yes.
That's kind of important.
Of course. What cable company doesn't have the Big Ten network? Man, you look stupid.
Hey, things could be crazier.
And speaking of that, I'm very interested in this upcoming college football season now that you have Fox, CBS, and NBC doing the Big Ten.
Yeah, I think the coverage is going to dictate things a little bit more within the TV contract. So, I mean, I think you might see a little bit more nighttime football from NBC, especially in November. Like this November, like Michigan State is playing Ohio State on a Saturday night game in the middle of November.
Right.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Sparty sucks. So they were probably like, oh, okay, we'll do it, for the money.
Right.
But when Ohio State has them at home that Saturday night and puts a major league blowout on them, we're going to see how it feels.
Right. I can't believe NBC spent all that money to broadcast the Big Ten. Because
NBC has tons of money.
Especially, since they're owned by Comcast. So, go figure.
I mean, they have a crazy amount of money. And I don't think it fades them too much on that.
It's not like they owned by General Electric.
Well, they used to be.
Right. They used to be. Because
they used to be. Back in the day.
Right.
Speaking of sports and entertainment rights.
Right.
I don't know how much of a sport we're going to consider it, but the WWE has the SmackDown contract up for renewal.
Oh, for Fox?
And I don't think it's going to be going back to Fox. I mean, so it might end up on Peacock or NBC or who knows?
Because NBC don't have anything on Fridays, actually, except for Dateline.
Well, I don't think a lot of these networks have anything on Friday nights. No offense. People got better things that what networks aren't exactly investing in new shows for Friday night between 7 and 8 and 10 or 7 and 9. It's pretty much reruns and game shows because they're low budget.
Right.
And one-offs.
They might as well move if Dayline airs on Friday, they might as well move it to like Wednesday or something just to get like a bigger ratings. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's why they have those Japanese game shows on Fridays and one-off series. Because
Go ahead.
because they're trying to fill those time slots.
Right. And those are usually like smaller budget shows that's not going to last out that long anyway. So go figure.
I mean, at this point, it's like, damn.
Exactly. Friday night shows are not like it used to. And they call it the Friday night death slot.
Well, there's probably a good reason for it, because if you're in that death slot, you're probably not going to make it.
Exactly. Well, there was one show that was supposed to be canceled, but they brought it back, was SWAT.
Yeah, that hasn't really lasted well. The damage is probably already done.
Right. Because the longer the show is, the more production costs you have to pay for each episode of a show, just in case people didn't know that.
I mean, it's sad, but that's just part of the nature of that industry.
Especially when they're on a strike.
Yes, exactly. Especially right now when you're on a strike. Makes it it makes it even much harder. Which is crazy in itself.
Okay, I do have the player prop picks, but this time we're going to do something different with the player props. So on No House Advantage, because we do the more or under, now they also have a feature called matchups. So they got like for points, rebounds, and all that other stuff. So for example, they have Jason Tatum and Butler, and Tatum is favored by 2.5 between the two.
Probably got to take Jimmy
Butler and Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum is favored by 2.5.
Probably got to take Jimmy.
Okay. Jaylen Brown and Abadeo. Abadeo is an underdog, like 5.5 points.
I'll go with the Celtics on this one.
Okay. So if you're going for the Celtics, this one also is Marcus Smart and Gabe Vincent. Vince is like a underdog, like 0.5 points.
Pick them. Can't go wrong either way, but you're going to go wrong either way.
Right. And then the last one they got, for example, between Kyle Lowry and Al Horford. I can't even trust Al Horford to save his own life anyway. I don't even know how he got the 2 3-pointers, because he's usually not a 3-pointer person anyway.
Al Horford, let me say this. Al Horford had his last hurrah last season in the playoffs. He's not going to be that same guy anymore. So, I'll take Kyle Lowry.
Exactly. Because he sure couldn't do it in Atlanta anyway. So, what the hell? Man, it's gone real quick, by the way. Today has been going quick. I noticed that.
It's cool.
Okay, so once again, promo code is S4A. So, like I said, if you live in Michigan and want to play, so if you live in Michigan, the hotline for gambling is 1-800-270-7117. In Wisconsin is 8 is in Ohio. 566. So we encourage you to gamble responsibly.
Yeah, that's how we do. We want to gamble responsibly. Except for Buckeyes. Anyways.
Exactly. Matter of fact, I think
we shouldn't even say that. But anyways. We don't like the Buckeyes.
You guys
Thursday.
Exactly. The punk guys. Thursday, same time, 6 o'clock. Tomorrow is Die Hard Fan with Cornelius Cole at 8 o'clock p.m. on Sports for America. So I'll be, matter of fact, I'll be doing some commercials now. So you guys have a nice and wonderful evening.
Yes, we'll see everybody.